What's going on, Jerome's? So Brian Flores has transformed the Vikings defense, and he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the National Football League. Former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, marinated a number of years in New England. He's got his coach's bona fides. He's one of the best defensive minds in this game, and he's a true leader of men. And yes, he and Kevin O'Connell bring the Vikings a Jerome Barty this season. Un time. But of course, Flores wants to get back into the game as a head coach, making the rounds. Talked with Adam Schefter a couple weeks ago about wanting to get another head coaching job if the situation is right. But there's an impediment. Number one, it still boggles my mind that Flores came in last year. He took the Don Shell defense, a lot of the same personnel, and turned them from the worst defense in the league to about 13th. Right? So middle of the table, right? And now the Vikings have the number one pressure defense in the league, and they're good to go. But that transformation last year, he got zero goose egg. D'Angelo Russell head coaching interviews last cycle was just disgusting. And a major part of that is potentially his lawsuit, discrimination lawsuit filed against the National Football League, still lurking out there. And they've gone through different legal hurdles and stuff like that, but it's still out there, right? And of course, last time with the Dolphins, all the rumor and conjecture and innuendo about Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, and just everything there. And then Tua just came out and hit Flores with a folding chair earlier, talk about how he's a terrible person and blah blah blah. Oh, by the way, Team Flores, screw Tua. Oh, yeah, because Flores is such a bad dude from the Dolphins that Andrew Van Ginkel followed him to Minnesota and had a career year. Oh, yeah, and Flores is such a bad dude that Metellus and Phillips stood by him. I'll stand by you. Yeah, just terrible dude. This defense just hates Brian Flores. Get the hell out of here, right? But long story longer, ESPN's NFL insiders Dan Graziano and Jeremy Fowler, so they talked about some things and some stuff when it comes to the Flores lawsuit. This from Fowler. I'm fascinated with Brian Flores. Talk about head coaching candidates. He has turned Minnesota's defense into a force. His players support him, and he has taken steps behind the scenes so that he's ready for a second chance. The NFL was very impressed in Flores' leadership in helping younger coaches during last offseason's accelerated program, for example. But his discrimination lawsuit against the NFL can't exactly be dropped as far as I know. He's not the only plaintiff on the class action suit, and whether fair or not, Tua Tagovailoa's bashing of Flores is still fresh in people's minds. What's the best fit for him? Dan Graziano. It's tough to say with Flores because of the lawsuit. I know the Giants liked him a lot when they hired Brian Daboll 3 years ago, but the extent to which the Giants process was implicated in the lawsuit rubbed the organization the wrong way. So I wonder whether those fences could be mended. Would the Jets take a look at Flores? Flores does not want the Jets. Since a stronger hand might appeal to ownership, would he appeal to the Bears, who'd be weakening a divisional rival if they could sell him on his ability to bring in the right offensive coordinator for Williams? I think Flores is a good and interesting candidate on several levels, but you're right. The questions surrounding him are very specific and could be tough obstacles for him to overcome in this cycle. And of course, Bears fans, if you've just been following on socials, they want them some Brian Flores. Now, obviously, Ben Johnson is the apple of their eye, but they want Flores, where he's a tough, defensive-minded head coach who hates his quarterback. I mean, there's not a better descriptor of a Bears head coach than that. But Flores will have openings and opportunities, right? So the Saints, Bears, and Jets jobs are currently open. A couple jobs that might become open. Bucks, I don't know. Can you fire Bowles after he's won 4 straight divisions? I don't know. The Cowboys, I don't know. Maybe McCarthy's done enough to save his job. Who knows? Stefanski, I would love if he kept his job, but I could see him easily being fired. Jobs that will be open, the Jaguars and the Giants. Giants in all likelihood, right? Wild cards. So, I mean, if Sirianni doesn't advance the Eagles past the first round of the playoffs, I mean, does he get fired? That could be a wild card. The Rams, not that they would fire McVay, but could he finally hang him up and just take that Amazon announcing job? It's possible. The Dolphins and Mike McDaniel, I don't know if they're sold on him long term, but of course, Flores ain't going back to the Dolphins. The Bengals, Zach Taylor. I mean, outside of their Super Bowl run and one other year, the Bengals have significantly underachieved under Zach Taylor's leadership. The Raiders, I don't know if they would do Pierce like that one and done. The 49ers, there's always one shocker at every single hiring cycle, and I don't know, Kyle Shanahan. going from the Super Bowl to whatever this disaster was. You can blame injuries a lot, but a lot of it is poor coaching as well. And then the Patriots, like we said before, that would be the perfect spot for Flores, given his time with the Patriots organization. But I don't see Robert Kraft making Gerard Mayo a one and done either. But Flores will have his options, but we'll see what happens. I do think that the lawsuit will hang over things, right? Because some teams will just straight up take Flores off of their board because of the lawsuit, or even if it gets dismissed, it is a class action lawsuit. But even if it gets tossed out, I mean, there could still be some hurt feelings, right? And there may not be like a coordinated freeze out of Flores, but there could be a de facto one in that every single team makes an individual decision and not to bring him in or not to hire him, which is an absolute ton of BS because Flores is a fantastic leader. If we didn't have Kevin O'Connell, I would absolutely love and adore Brian Flores as head coach, but if it keeps him here for the next couple of years, his family loves Minnesota. They're settled in, and he loves this defense. He loves this locker room. He loves everything. I'm all for it, man. But it's absolute BS the way that Brian Flores didn't getting done. But your thoughts are our thoughts. Brian Flores, discrimination lawsuit lingers. Could it affect his head coaching prospects this offseason? Let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts, comment section. You guys know what to do. Skull, production value.